All right, guys, it is time to take my flying videos to the next level, and I'm doing that with two amazing companies. First, Insta360. We have some X5s to put on the airplane, and my Flight Flix. They have sent us some exterior mounts for the Archer that's going to make some of our adventures absolutely epic. And here's Nugget. It's going to be hot in there. It's, gosh, almost 8:30 in the morning and over 95 degrees, so, you know, Phoenix fun. Made it. I want to get cameras on this airplane so that we can get some really cool, epic shots. Believe it or not, this right here was my harebrained idea to try to make that happen. And I think this would have worked. It would have given me some shots. But this year, while I was at Osh, I talked to my Flight, who also owns a company called Flight Flix, and they have some pretty cool mounts that make it so I don't have to do any of this janky stuff. Let's go check it out. And laid before you on the table is a bunch of the things that I was able to get for them. Starting over here, those spanner plates that I was telling you about. So these guys go in between two screws, but they have a really nice platform and system to make it so that it's not janky at all and incredibly safe. And so you see that right there? We've got two of these to be able to hold these poles right here. And I've already kind of messed with it just a little bit. This pole I've put together, it's actually really tight. I'll be able to get it apart once I get it remounted to these guys. But the idea is this pole will go in between two mounting points on these, and it'll stay nice and tight. And then on the end, we can put, we can put one of these guys. This is incredible. Insta360 actually reached out to me, and we've got two of their brand new X5 360-degree cameras. And I cannot wait to show you guys the quality of recording that these things have, and at 8K. So epic shots gonna be coming from this guy. Now, Flight Flix sent us a little bit more than just the poles and this mount. They also sent us this guy. And this is a little tiny mount that makes it so we can attach two tie-down points on the airplane in a solid and very safe manner. We can put GoPros on here. We can also put another Insta360. I have plans for this guy right here. Now, over here towards the end are some other items. This is actually a case from Insta360, and this is what's gonna go on the end of one of these poles right here. And then that way I don't have to detach this from that. I can just undo this little thing here. It pops up and I can slide the camera in and out, and that makes doing this so incredibly convenient. This guy is just a ramp mount with a 3D printed item. I'll show you guys this in a little bit, but this is gonna go inside the airplane. And then this is just an extra mount from another company that I worked with a long time ago to be able to get a couple more epic shots. Let's get started removing some screws over here and getting these spanner plates mounted. First thing I need to do is remove some screws, and these are the first two screws that I'm going to use. And the reason I'm using the drill is not because I'm lazy. It's really because when you have an older airplane, the screws can get a little bit of corrosion on them and they are a little hard to get out. So upward pressure and slow, even torque can pull these out pretty good. And if you look on that screw, you can kind of see some of it right there where it's darkened. Some of these are worse than others. Just want to be careful that we don't strip the heads. Those are spicy. All right. I'm gonna do the first spanner, and these do come with additional hardware and everything that you need, but my wingtip already has these washers on them that make it so that they'll fit inside of this perfectly. So we're gonna put this little rubber dude here to isolate and also make sure the airplane doesn't get scratched. Then I'm gonna take this screw right here, make sure that we're aligned with the screw hole so we don't strip the screw going in. Start nice and slow, and that one took. All right, that is set. And I installed it backwards. 1 second. All right, when I said backwards, I just wanted this screw pointing out so that it's easier for me to come over here instead of over here up against the wing. So that one's set, now I just gotta do the other one. Now up here, I'm skipping this hole and I'm going to these two holes so that we have a nice long distance for the pole to be held on to. And we're trying to get it as even as possible. All right, and there we have it, onto the pole. Now these poles are made of aluminum And on the tips of them, they actually have a threading for a 1/4 inch by 20, which is exactly what most cameras have on the bottom. They do come with additional ones of those. So to be able to put them together like I did here, you take this little guy and you put it on. Now, I'm debating on putting some medium Loctite on this to make sure that these don't come out. That way I can also install and remove my cameras as needed, because there's actually going to be too much thread here. So we will have a little lock nut that goes on here, which is also why I'm excited for this guy, because I can attach it to this permanently and not have to worry about removing the camera on and off. I just slide the camera in and out of here. So Insta360, very thoughtful on this. This is cool. So back over here, I'm gonna take this guy and we're gonna start mounting this. So what I learned when I was test fitting this before, you can see up along here, this is not completely seated the way that we want it to be seated. But we're gonna have to go back and forth between both of these guys and slowly work in the screws here, and we'll eventually get that seated absolutely perfectly. All right, and just like that, take a look up here. We are seated perfectly on this one, and we're seated perfectly on this one back here. So I am happy with that installation. All we have to do is take this little lock nut and tighten them down on each end, and that will secure this so during vibrations and flying and stuff, this isn't gonna come off. So those guys are locked in, and then these little nuts up here at the top, this will lock so that these don't have a chance to swivel. And I've already gone ahead and locked those when I test fit this unit to make sure that it was all set in the angles that I wanted it to be in. So now, coming out here, we can attach this guy. Yep, and lock that down. Now, while it's doing its thing, I can put this little guy on here, take this guy, and then I just got to take a wrench down in there. So with this all installed, we can take our Insta360 X5, and yes, it is recording. And this is what I'm mostly excited about. We go this way, slide that in, then we can lock this guy down. I'm not going to go all the way there, but Ty, step back. My son's here helping me record, and you guys can see the whole airplane. So I am very excited about this. It's going to give us some amazing shots where we're going to some fun new destinations and places while you guys come along on those flights. Now, the next step for this setup right here is I do need a mechanic sign off on it, and that is because it is physically attached to the airplane. There's a special way to be able to do that. I actually have documentation on it. I'll have that linked down below. But yeah, mechanic sign off, and they should know what to do. If not, those directions down below should help. But this does not need a mechanic sign off, and which is why it is a cool product from Flight Flix, because we can attach this to any of the tie down points, and you just hook it on because it's temporary and can easily come off. So let's go over to the right wing and I'll show you guys how to attach this to an Insta360 X5. Now on a low wing, this is a little bit more complicated than on a high wing. First, we just remove this little lock nut that we have, whoop, and then this guy is also threaded, so we spin this off. And now we have this that we'll just leave on. We'll slide this here, and you can see that this guy is actually tapered, and the taper on it makes it so it tries to center a little bit better on the ring itself so that we have the best amount of contact. Then we just take our lock nut and tighten it down. All right, that is nice and tight. So I've loosened this here. I'm able to tighten this down nice and securely, so that should be good. And then just tighten this, and then the final step is, of course, to just take the wrench and tighten this down over here. All right, just like that. Hey guys. All right, so this is the last mount that I want to use, and this is for an interior shot with the Insta360. Outside, I'm gonna do one Insta360 on the end over here, and then one on the interior, so we can minimize the amount of cameras that we have to put inside of the airplane, which has always been a pain in my butt, because when you wanna get multiple shots. You want one out the nose, you want one at you. You want to have a camera that's there that can capture it all. And guys, the Insta360 does that beautifully. So excited to have this one in there. So I'm just going to line this with double-sided sticky tape, and then we'll get it installed. All right, so here we go. I'm going to spread this apart. I'm going to push it until it's all the way up like that, and then secure it like that. And this is printed out of ABS, so it'll be able to withstand the heat and things that are in the airplane. My plan is to put the Insta360 like that, so it'll be able to get good shots of me and my passenger whenever we're flying. It can get the instrument cluster down here. We can also bring it down here if we want like really good shots of that. Or we can swing it up over here and get shots out the nose of the airplane. I'm excited for this mount. I designed it all at home, and I'm like, I hope this works. And guys, it's gonna work perfect. This is the last one. I'm not gonna bore you guys with installing it, but I'm just gonna mount that guy right there. We're gonna have it point at the airplane so we can get a nice side profile shot of the things that we're doing. This is just gonna be a GoPro. No big deal, but this one is also going to need a mechanic's sign off. Real quick, the reason that you need to sign off on this is because this airplane is certified. Now, for this airplane, we don't need any of that. So yeah, you can do what you want with experimental. Just got to make a logbook entry when you're doing things. But yeah, the mechanic is needed for certified. Guys, that's going to be it for right now. We need to go flying and show you how this all looks.
All right, guys, we are headed back to Deer Valley Airport. I'm really excited for these cameras, so I want to give a huge thank you to Insta360 for sending us over some X5, and also Flight Flix / MyGoFlight for providing these incredible mounts for us to be able to do things like this. Guys, I'll leave links for all of these things down inside of the description, but for right now, I'm just going to enjoy the rest of this flight and head home in a little bit. We'll just turn them down. Anyways, guys, thanks for flying along, and as always, share aviation wherever you can, and we'll see you in the next one.
All right, this protrudes out of the airplane a little bit more than I want, and I don't want to accidentally run into it. And since the airplane is affectionately known as Nugget, we got a chicken for this. Ready? Oh, perfect. I'm not going to run into that.